Let me begin with the breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Inside the country and around the globe, mass shooting in South Africa. At least 9 people killed and 10 injured at near Johannesburg. A police manhunt is underway. I have another back-to-back breaking news. United Nations and Eastern Congo related. The UN Security Council urges Rwanda to withdraw forces from Eastern Republic of Congo and has extended the peacekeeping mission amid ongoing conflict. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to SATV's International Affairs live broadcasting from SATV's Dhaka studio, simultaneously going through Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram and YouTube. You can catch us in those media as well. We have a very high voltage, very respected panelist today. In the studio, let me very humbly introduce John Charles Dalton, an internationally recognized consultant who is the heart of our program. And we are very glad to introduce very famous surgeon, an activist, a writer, a professor from Utah, United States, Sir Scott Lekman. He is here in the studio, and of course we have our geopolitical correspondent based in Washington DC, Norman Flood Barnes. Norman, let me begin with you because I know you are studying a lot. You are gathering all the news, breaking news right this moment, sitting in Washington. Please share us your breaking news stories.
Greetings and season's greetings, actually season greetings from Washington, D.C. We are about to start into our holiday seasons shortly. Congress is leaving town to the light of many people, and we still don't have a health care deal completed. And also it appears that the health care premiums will effectively go and increase at the beginning of the year. There'll be an increase, and so we'll deal with that. On the other side is the conversation is about the Epstein tapes, files. They was released by the DOJ Friday, and believe it or not, 15 photos and a lot of stuff was redacted from the picture, from there, including pictures supposedly of our current president. Our previous president, however, Bill Clinton, was blasted all over. His pictures was seen over there. So there's a lot of conversation about exactly what was sanitized, what was taken out. People still not happy with that. In terms of international stuff, the United States seized another oil tanker off of Venezuela. The Coast Guard basically stopped the ship, and without incident was able to take over and commodore that vehicle. So that is what's going on. We are about to go into the holiday season, so that means Washington will be quiet in terms of activity, but we still have a thing on international affairs.
All right, sir. Very articulated collections from the list of breaking news. Let us begin from the most tough issues. Russia-Ukraine war, missile strikes and peace talks both are moving together like a rail tracks. Russia fired missiles at Ukraine's Odessa port, directly to the port areas, killing civilians and disrupting critical infrastructure. Peace talks continue in Miami with US envoys meeting Russian officials while Ukraine presses for firm security guarantees. I just want to begin with Dalton, sir. So Dalton, what strategic objectives might Russia have in intensifying strikes around Odessa right now?
Hello everyone. Nice to be here. Nice to see you again, sir. And Scott, welcome. Nice to see you in Bangladesh.
Thank you.
And Norman, hello. Well, you know, they're sending a message. I mean, no question, Russia is sending a message that we can reach, okay, over the top of Kiev if we want, and attack Odessa, which is on the western coast, and directly abuts Moldova. So they're sending a message that Europe is not safe from the kind of missiles that they're capable of launching. They're also making a statement that if you attack our ships in the Black Sea, we will retaliate. And we will not allow you to attack Crimea without a reciprocal response in Odessa. Those are the two major shipping ports out of that part of Ukraine. Crimea, which is now under the control of Russia, but was in fact formerly a Ukraine port. They're shipping wheat and all kinds of foodstuffs through the Black Sea. And many of the ships carrying oil that, under false flag of course, have been attacked by Ukraine and in the Black Sea. So the message that they're sending is do not make the Black Sea a place of conflict because it's too important to world trade. And understand, we can reach you. We can reach Moldova. We can come at you if you like. And we are not satisfied with your peace proposals and your peace response. There's no guarantee that we will stop at the border of Ukraine. And it's our decision to make, not yours, as Putin has articulated in his Christmas messaging that he does every year.
Sir, I have designed a question for Sir Lekman, but I'm sure before coming to Lekman, sir, I should do a question to Norman because he has a keen eyes on the American envoys to Miami right this moment. Sir, how credible and viable are current peace negotiations in Miami given recent battlefield developments? Then I'll come to Sir Scott Lekman because he needs to know the background of these negotiation meetings going on in Miami, Florida.
Yes, the negotiations are continuing. For the most part, all of the most of the points has been addressed, not agreed to, except the issue about the territory. Putin has mentioned on his TV show yesterday, the other day, that we will not seek aggression against other countries, particularly Europe, if they respect their interests. What does that mean? I don't know what their interests. So right now, the situation is full speed ahead with the plan. The plan is to continue the military aggression. The plan is have Ukraine respond and apply and comply with the points required, the territory right now. If they do not comply with that, and basically he was looking at this before this year's out, the 31st of this month, he will continue and he will basically defeat Ukraine before the end of the year. So that's the latest point is basically there's a plan to up the military aggression and to defeat the military of Ukraine before the end of this year if they do not come to terms.
Your indications and your assumption is very clear and loud, as Sir John Charles Dalton as well. Putin is unstoppable. Now I need to know what role should international actors like European Union, NATO, United Nations, or a powerful country like Turkey can play if US diplomacy stalls. Sir Lekman.
Since I was last here, what Europe did was okay a loan of $105 billion to Ukraine. They didn't tap into the frozen Russian assets for whatever reason. I guess because they're worried about what Russia might do, but that's to be seen later. But they did take that action, which should keep Ukraine in the game for at least another year or two. Now, Putin, in his 4-hour press conference, sounded like he wants peace. All they have to do is agree to our demands. That's all. Now, I think there's not sufficient pressure on Putin yet to come to terms. So I think he needs to just placate Trump and just string him along to make him think that Trump can make a deal in the near future. I think the best scenario for Ukraine is that at some point Trump will tire of this and lose interest, in which case the Europeans can then lead with any negotiations.
So very good summary you have given us, sir. This time I feel I should talk to John Dalton because sir, what are the broader implications for global food markets if Black Sea ports remain intermittently targeted by Vladimir Putin, his soldiers, his generals and his fighters?
Well, as I said, this is the ports in the Black Sea have been used for shipping wheat, and Ukraine has been an enormous source of wheat for this part of the world as well. Other products and other commodities go from Crimea and also from Odessa. And so it has implications for international food and nutrition. That's a key issue. And so Putin, I think, is sending a signal to Ukraine: do not mess with our shipments of oil in the Black Sea, or we will attack your shipments of wheat.
Yeah.
And we're not going to let you simply stand idly by. We're not going to stand idly by while this happens. I hope, and I think Scott has given a very good summary of this. I think the EU has already played its cards. They've given us a $105 billion loan to Ukraine, as Scott says, to keep them going for another couple of years. So in his famous 2-hour, 5-hour conference, he portrayed the EU as trying to prolong the war. So he does not see any EU intervention, EU support for Ukraine, except as a way to foiling his plan for taking over Ukraine and for advancing from the east forward. So whenever EU, because they see Ukraine as a critical part of Europe, when the EU takes a position, okay, Putin already has categorized that position as being aggressive against Russia. And I think the EU would agree with him. I think that they see that they have to stop. This is the line of demarcation. If they don't stop Putin here, okay, then he will be emboldened to do other things, other places, whether it's in Moldova or far reaching into Poland or other places. We don't know. So I don't think that any other international organizations, I think NATO has to play a quiet role. As you know, my position on the UN is that they really are they've been castrated for years, can't do anything productive. They don't have a role here at all except job owning about like, you shouldn't do this. They'll talk about sovereignty, but as the minute they get into a Security Council meeting, all the vetoes are there, they can't do a darn thing. NATO is clever enough to say, okay, let's not be the leading voice here, because that would engage Trump and give him the opportunity to say, no, I don't agree. Mm-hmm. So they use the EU as a way to sideline Trump in some respects so that the peace negotiations in Miami and elsewhere can continue.
All right, I found very fascinating comments from Sir John Charles Dalton and Scott Leckman both, because these two persons are truly knowledgeable on this particular issue. I need to ask one question to Norman. Norman, how is Ukraine recalibrating its military strategy response to asymmetrical Russian attacks, because Russia is hitting, putting bombs, missiles and military operations. So how do you see this Russian aggression to Ukraine is not stopping anything?
The Russian aggression is based on a strategic plan, and basically is to freeze Ukraine out, have a steady and consistent military approach, keep the pressure on, destroy the infrastructure, and continue pressuring EU regarding this matter. There's one part that I think people are not considering is that Russia needs money and they want access to the frozen assets. As I mentioned earlier, Putin mentioned that he has no desire to continue this war, but he also want Europe to know that you have to respect me, you have to respect my interests. And one of his interests is freeing up them assets, getting them assets. So, irregardless of what happens in Ukraine, he still has a issue with the frozen assets held by the EU, and basically the war in its present state is continuing because his demands, which he's steadfast in sticking to, has not been met. So the excuse, the reasons is right there to basically to continue the military aggression and to continue that process as it moves forward into a new year, because the EU partners, the EU neighbors, has not respect their interests. So that's something we need to look out for. The other part I want to talk about is NATO. The president made a comment last week, and I think a lot of people didn't. They missed it. Is that our president stated that made a comment that about Spain. They are talking. There's a reference, a inference that Spain should be kicked out the EU because they are not participating, not contributing, and that conversation is coming up. So you have to listen to them when these little flippant comments come out. They are not just by accident. They are sending a message. The message right now is that they don't believe certain countries in NATO is contributing their fair share. So this also gives, just like I talked about with Putin, a reason for the United States to back off, slow down, and be less involved in the issues in Europe, and particularly with NATO and the EU.
Thank you, Norman Pratt Barnes. Here is Sir John Charles Dalton to respond to you on your statement.
I just want to add one little detail about Spain. You know, Trump is asking for Spain to be kicked out of NATO, not just because they are refusing to put the 5% contribution, but because they have sanctioned Israel. So this is a case of the enemy of my friend is my enemy, where Trump is actually holding Spain to account for their position in the United Nations and elsewhere in Europe against shipping to Israel and against allowing Israel to provide weapons to European countries. I believe that's right, Norman.
All right, sir. Before I shift to U.S. Retaliatory airstrikes on Islamic states in Syria, Operation Hawkeye Strike, I want to read out three favorite quotes regarding the Vladimir Putin, its policies, its brain, its talents, its operation. Joe Biden, when he was in power, he said Vladimir Putin is a dictator who is determined to rebuild an empire personally and also the old Russia. Angela Merkel, one of the very favorite politician and German former chancellor, she said Putin sees the world through the lens of power and control. He didn't learn to lose the battle. And of course, Barack Obama, I want to end. Mr. Putin has led Russia down a path of isolation. So three comments from three different dimensions will help us to think about Vladimir Putin. Western media says when he is silent, Western media goes for deep thinking. Why he is silent? When he talks in the press or television, Western media watch it. When he started invasion, Western media talks with the media. Western leaders talk with the media. Ladies and gentlemen, let us come to the U.S. retaliatory airstrikes on IS, Islamic State in Syria, Operation Hawkeye Strike. I have the news. The U.S. under Donald Trump launched large airstrikes targeting over 70 Islamic State sites in central Syria after an IS-linked ambush killed U.S. personnel in December this month. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to do the first question to John Charles Dalton, because he has the experience to work in different countries, especially in Middle East. Sir, my question is, how do these strikes change US counterterrorism strategy in the Middle East, especially in that particular areas, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, this kind of areas?
Yeah, I think this was a retaliation strike against the fact that ISIS had killed 2 soldiers and a translator previously. And I think this actually is more about Hegseth than it is about Trump. I think that what it shows is that from a military point of view, Hegseth will exact vengeance on anybody who confronts American military any place in the world. And this was, ISIS operates there still, and they will continue to do so because it's an ideology, it's a philosophy, it's not an army, and so it's not so easy to confront. But in terms of any long-term immediate effect on Syria-US relations, Middle East, I think this was just a one-off kind of a retaliation. ISIS may do some more action in response to that, but it is not an issue of global consequence, let's say.
Sir, our respected audience from different parts of the world are participating with us through different social media platforms. I'm receiving some relevant questions as well. First of all, I'm receiving reactions from Poroshmoni, Sharul Islam, Bhuban, Farhana Ali, engineer Farooq Ahmed, and also news personality Chamili Munir. But I am receiving one question from Farhana Ali which is very relevant. I found here are misinformation and propaganda shaping public opinion during global conflicts. So she wanted to actually tell that battle not only in the battlefield, battle in the media also. I want to get a small comment from Sir Scott Lakeman regarding this comment from Farhana Ali. She's our very respected regular viewer.
She's talking about misinformation.
Misinformation and disinformation on media which misguides the people.
Well, it's a huge problem for sure. We have the legacy media where we get most of our information, but now social media is also contributing to our knowledge of things. So I'm not sure exactly which, is she talking about the attack on Syria or just in general?
I have received one breaking news from Sharul Islam Bhubani. He is writing, Russian forces attacked Ukraine's Dnipro region with artillery shelling and drones, damaging homes, power lines and gas pipeline. And he is giving us latest updates. Probably he is writing from Europe. Ladies and gentlemen, we know we cannot finish the discussion on this prolonged war between Russia and Ukraine and the engagement of Western countries, especially European Union, NATO and United States. But we have to move to other sections. Sir, I asked you a question about this US counterterrorism strategy. Sir, may I include you? What are the potential risk of civilian casualties or backlash in Syria and neighboring countries if United States hold on their policy to retaliate IS?
Yes. Well, civilian casualties are always an issue. That can always turn public opinion in the region against a force. In this case, the attack was done in collaboration with the new Syrian government. It involved U.S. Warplanes, helicopters, artillery, and it also used Jordanian warplanes. So I don't think ISIS has much sympathy among the public there. So I think in this case that would likely be minimized.
All right, sir, let's check with Norman Flood Barnes. He has a very good observation on new government after the outstate Bashar al-Assad, who kept Syria 40 years under his brutal rule. Sir, I just want to know, could this kind of operation, Hawkeye strike, escalate US involvement beyond deterrence into prolonged engagement? Recently, we have seen Syrian new president has met United President Donald J. Trump, and they have set and did declared a joint press conference regarding some operations, and after that we see these escalations.
Yes, my observation is basically this agreement to embrace Syria and the new president and government comes with conditions. As we see these type of attacks on ISIS or whoever may interfere with the region, the U.S. intention is to utilize the relationships with Syria. You also had Jordan. Jordan was involved in this airstrike, and basically they will utilize the local talent to deal with the issues in the Middle East. So instead of having a large contingent of the United States resources utilized in areas, they will have a coordinated response and also utilize the intelligence and the access to these areas. Unfortunately, the collateral damage will spill over to the people in the region because this is a war, so it's not precision attacks. This is something, and ISIS will utilize the civilian population to provide cover and protection. So these type of things, as expressed by the Pentagon, will continue. The new Secretary of War has expressed through this response that we will immediately respond and react to any type of pinpricking to the United States interests. So we can expect a lot more of these coordinated attacks within the regions of conflict.
Right, sir. I received a question from our very regular, respected audience, Shoma Ghosh Monica. By profession, she's a lawyer. She directed me to ask this question to Norman Flood Barnes, but from my experience, I found John Charles Dalton is very fine-tuned on economic perspective. So I want to take this question from you to Sir Dalton. Sir, she said, what is Trump's plan to tackle the global economic slump after the Russia-Ukraine war? I found this question very relevant for you, sir.
Did you? Well, aren't you nice?
Thank you, John.
Okay, Norman, you're off the hook. Well, I think we have a long, long way to go before that, you know, and I am not a fan of Donald Trump's economic policy. I think that we're still waiting for Supreme Court determination about the legality of his tariffs, which would create an enormous hole in the United States budget. I think we're also looking at a situation where after the war, the reparations that are going to have to be paid all around will have global consequences. All of these wars, in addition to, as Norman pointed out and as Scott has pointed out, affecting the civilian population, they eliminate trust in trade as a concept. And as we are unable to sort of arrive at a situation where countries can deal with each other without violating their basic principles of, like, if you're my friend, I mean, Bangladesh is right in the middle of that right now. I mean, Bangladesh is directly in the middle of having to choose between the United States and China. And other countries are in a similar fix because now that we have the national security statement from the United States, it's clear. You either are with us or against us. There's no middle ground. You can't be friends with both. It's you with us or against us. So the economics after this war, and assuming that no other intervening wars happen, are going to be based on transactional bilateralism and not the old multilateral foundation and platform that has always been in place, the Bretton Woods Agreement, for example, after World War II. So this is a new era. And so it's predicated on the assumption that the war in Ukraine will end in some way that will allow world trade to commence and begin over again. We don't know when that's going to happen. And the disruptions in the Black Sea affecting the economic and trade. But thank the lady for that very thoughtful question. And Norman, how did I do?
Thank you.
Before I
Very
go
well.
to yes, sir, go ahead. I can call
Continue.
today's show is an American show because in my studio I'm so humble to declare that Sir Scott Leckman, Sir John Charles Dalton, and from Washington, Sir Norman Flatt Barnes, three very respected worldwide personalities are as our panelists today. So I want to call today's show is an American show, but we are also not giving points to the Donald Trump's administration. I want to read three quotes about Donald Trump's legacy. One from Joe Biden, he said, Donald Trump is a genuine, I want to give a pause because after genuine what words are coming, that is genuine threat to this nation and to the planet because he does not have consistency. And Barack Obama says about Trump is not an aberration, he is a symptom of what's gone wrong in American politics and also in world politics. I want to add just one more small comment on him from Angela Merkel. She says the United States under Trump pursued an unpredictable course, but world has to experience another 36 more months with Donald Trump administration. Sir Leckman, very gentleman, I want to get your comment on that.
He's the elected president of the United States. So he was elected in a fair election, and he's going to be our president for the rest of this 4-year term. The American people, again, something like 31% of eligible voters voted for him, and won by 1.5%. But that was enough to just change the world. So his supporters wanted a disruptor to be back in office, and he is a disruptor. He perhaps sometimes that is an advantage, and certainly sometimes it's not an advantage. I think most countries want in the United States something predictable, something they can depend on, and that is not what we have right now.
Right, Americans people will face 36 more years with Donald Trump.
Years, hold it.
Months.
Don't curse us, months.
Well, it could be years. It could be years.
Sir Norman, you can see what Sir Dalton is doing. He's just putting his hand on his heart.
Having a heart attack.
He's checking the heartbeats. Ladies and gentlemen, I received a relevant question from one of our very relevant young entrepreneur, Jannatun Naimi. She said regarding global economy, how are wars and political tensions affecting inflation, energy prices and food security worldwide? I found this question relevant. Norman, would you please face this question from young entrepreneur Jannatun Naimi from Bangladesh?
Okay, let's look at this. Okay, anytime you have conflict, particularly war on a global scale, it affects everything. The price of gasoline, the cost of electricity, the rising cost of food because food has to be rerouted and it costs more. And there's a safety issue. Will my products get to the market they need to be? So insurance prices goes up. The cost of buying things goes up. So everything increases. War is, as they describe it, Robbie Lee said, war is hell. And the hell part of it is basically it affects everything around it, not just the confrontation. It has a mental, physical, and global effect on everything we do. So we have to understand that conflict is not something that we work parallel with. It is the issue. It affects how we live day to day, and our standards of living has to be affected by global conflict.
All right, sir. I will request our production control room, if for time limitations, Sir Norman get lost the connections, please connect him again. Still, we have major issues, need impression from Washington. Sir, on the other part of the world, something is happening like global conflict and security, other zones, especially Democratic Republic of Congo. And I also want to be humble to discuss about the yesterday's huge funeral take place in Bangladesh. As you are visiting this country, you have a long relationship with this country, and Norman has a very soft corner to Bangladesh. We want to discuss that, but before that, I have been advised and requested by the production control room for going for a short commercial break, sir.
সারা দেশে লাখো মানুষের কঠোর কর্মতৎপরতা ও নিষ্ঠায় এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন 16 কোটি মানুষের হাতের নাগালে। দীর্ঘ 30 বছর ধরে বিশ্বস্ততা ও দ্রুততার সাথে সেবা দেওয়ায় গ্রাহক সেবায় এখন শীর্ষে। বাংলাদেশে গ্রাহক সেবার সাফল্যের পর এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস এখন বিশ্ব বাণিজ্য কেন্দ্র সিঙ্গাপুরে। আপনার যে কোনো পণ্য সিঙ্গাপুর থেকে বাংলাদেশে বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন। এসএ পরিবহন প্রাইভেট লিমিটেড, লজিস্টিক্স পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, 22 রবার্টস লেন, সিঙ্গাপুর 218302। ফোন 0065 629 24900। বাংলাদেশ থেকে সিঙ্গাপুরে পণ্য বুকিং এর জন্য যোগাযোগ করুন ঢাকা সহ দেশের যে কোনো 80টি শাখা কেন্দ্রে। এসএ পরিবহন পার্সেল অ্যান্ড কুরিয়ার সার্ভিস, আপনার সেবা সব সময়।
Welcome, Grand Palace Hotel, Dhaka. A majestic lobby blending timeless elegance with modern design. Experience 5-star comfort in suites and rooms. Sophisticated fine dining restaurant.
I'm sure our geopolitical correspondent is not in the line, but still questions are coming for him. I want to redirect his questions to his another two countrymen, same country from America. Jannatul Firdaus, she is a very regular viewer and she always participates with all relevant and important questions. She says, I genuinely look forward to this show because it shares so many information, insights about international affairs with the audience. It's rare to see something this well organized in our country. Moreover, everyone looked great in suits and ties today, especially Sir John. She said, especially Sir John. See, Sir John is very popular in this country. Sir, I want to come to another hard-hitting breaking news in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The M23 rebel offensive captured Vida, displacing hundreds of thousands and threatening fragile peace deals. Sir, would you please face the first question? What are the humanitarian consequences of the M23 offensive for civilians in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo? I'm sure you have experience in Western Africa as well.
Yeah, I have experience living in Congo, and Congo is an enormous country which is totally disconnected. You cannot get from Kinshasa to Kivu by road or by any even direct flight. So it's difficult for the central government that's way on the western coast to try to do something with the east side of Kivu and the lake regions. Just to alert the audience, though, it's important to note that M23 is a militia which is directly tied to Rwanda. And on the territorial line, much of the people who are in Eastern Congo have allegiances with Rwanda and so forth. So this kind of cross-border activity has been going on in that part of the world for a long time. Whether it's the Rwandan M23 or whether it's people coming in from the north, from Sudan, it's an insecure area. It's sort of the wildest, ungoverned area in all of Africa. The central government in Congo cannot assert its power and project its power all the way out to the east. The Kagame, who is the president and a very, very talented man, or a former rebel, the president of Rwanda, knows very well how to play that border region to maintain control over the rich assets that are there. All of the telephones and all of the military weapons in the world get their coltran from that specific part of Eastern Congo. So you see artisanal people digging wells all over that part of the country to get the minerals that are necessary to make cell phones, automobiles, generators, battleships, you name it. And so it is it's an economic war. If you want to try to make a comparison between that region and what's going on in Ukraine, it's also some kind of pride issue with Kagame that he's able to control the Kivus and all that part of Eastern Congo. But it's an enormous country, it's ungovernable, and so on account of the fact that it's ungovernable, that's why the UN has to go in there from time to time, because the central government cannot project its authority that far to the east.
So do you find these tensions will be intensifying in coming days?
They're constant. No need to intensify. As a matter of fact, M23 has withdrawn and gone back into Rwanda. They do the business, they do the damage, they come in, they create some of a chaos, but they withdraw. And you know, this is another one of those peace end of war agreements that Donald Trump has been touting, that M23 and Rwanda have signed with Congo, but it doesn't hold. It's just a piece of paper.
All right, sir. I have had the opportunity to work for United Nations peacekeeping forces operation in Western Africa. I have covered civil war in Sierra Leone in different cities, triangle fight, SLA, Sierra Leone Army, RUF, Revolutionary United Front, and CDF, Civil Defense Force. Very ferocious, and child rebel soldiers are moving everywhere with shells on their arms. This is very horrible experience. That was my beginning of my war journalism career in Africa. It was horrible. I still feel very bad. Sir, I want to come to Sir Scott Leckman as this is all about the international intervention, sir. Should international intervention in Democratic Republic of Congo be strengthened or reconsidered, because we see fight is still going on?
This issue has been going on since the genocide in Rwanda. So 30 years this has been going on. There are 200 militias at work here. M23 is the biggest one. As far as asking for military intervention, I can't imagine what the goal would be. Certainly, diplomacy needs to be the first step. Now, President Trump attempted this. He had an agreement signed by Rwanda and the Congo, and that lasted less than a week. So we can see that that when you make such a peace agreement, there's got to be tied to it accountability and justice. Otherwise, it's not worth the paper it's written on.
Absolutely. I want to ask a different kind of comparable questions to my favorite John Charles Dalton. Sir, what lessons from Ukraine and Middle East conflicts could apply to the Congo crisis? Because you have experience both in Middle East, Europe and Africa.
Well, I think, as I said, that this disagreement between M23, rebel group from Rwanda, and the DRC in the Lakes region in eastern Congo, basically is about resources. And
Diamond
if you boil
mine,
down
gold mine.
well, gold and all the coltron stuff that goes into computers and cell phones. And there was an effort made years ago to try to restrict any kind of export or use of that material. And there was signatures signed at the UN that everybody would agree not to use this material taken from these artisanal miners in Eastern Congo. Nothing came of that. But the lesson learned is that, is that there are underneath all of these battles that appear to be one, they are territorial, but there is a predicate under that has to do with the use of materials. And more, this quest for precious minerals is determining American interference, American intervention in all of these places. I mean, there's no interest of the United States in M23 invasion into Eastern Congo, other than the materials that are used in cell phones and generators. So that's the only case. There's an underlying economic issue that gets masked and covered by conflict, but at the heart of it, that's all it's all about, is money. Both in Ukraine and Congo. Ukraine is the same problem.
I have covered once African National Congress one program, and I heard one speech from one lady. She has been Nobel laureate later on, Wangari Maathai, for peace. She said most resourceful continents in the world, Africa, is living the most poorest living style, as because they are not into education, they are not into innovation, and they are not into the things that they can make for themselves. They have to depend on the Westerns. This is one of the reasons they are living so poor and with conflicts, wars, disasters. Ladies and gentlemen, I am again requested by my producer from the production control room, Arman, to go for a short commercial break.
Crystal clear swimming pool for ultimate relaxation. Modern gym and serene spa for well-being. Perfect venue for corporate events, weddings and parties. Seamless and secured. Elegant and eye-catching design. Indulge, relax, discover the first 5-star chain hotels in Bangladesh. Grand Palace Hotel Dhaka, 22 Kakrail, Dhaka, Bangladesh.
Welcome to Grand Club at Mirpur 10 Dhaka. Elegant spa and wellness facility for ladies and gents. Play pool and snooker in international standard billiard zone.
As I call today's show the American show, because all my very respected panelists from United States of America, from Washington, Norman is there at his studio. Sir John Charles Dalton is here. He is internationally recognized consultant. He works in almost all continents, and very special Sir Scott Leckman is here. Sir, I want to draw your attention on the domestic and regional instability, Bangladesh media violence. You have heard two media, top media has been torched by the protesters, and you have heard, you have seen what happened yesterday took place. A 32-year-old, very popular, very sensation to the young generation has died after a murder attack. He has gone for treatment in Singapore. He has come with no lives, and nations has passed a national mourning day. I want to start from you. Do you think this kind of assassination will demotivate new generations to come into politics? Because ultimately new generations will be the guardian of the country.
That's possible. That's possible. And then the alternative, I think, is quite possible. I think that the young people in Bangladesh are very resilient. And you could see that a year ago with the July Revolution. And I think I've been monitoring social media, and I think initially there was some hesitance by some of the young people to continue campaigning, but I think that has reversed itself because I think the young people of this country will not be stopped by intimidation.
Very well articulated, hopeful and optimistic comments from Scott Leckman, sir, Professor Scott Leckman. I want to include Norman Flood Barnes, because I found him very fascinating one habit. He reads every single developments take place in Bangladesh. Norman, I want to get your comment in 2 minutes regarding Bangladesh. I know you have a lots of fans also in Bangladesh. So you read all news from Bangladesh. What are you learning about Bangladesh?
Yes, thank you for the question. Bangladesh is a very young, energetic, and potentially great country. I say that because of the people. The youth is part of this movement because of the technology now, the AI, and the communication abilities. The people are coming more informed. They're coming more engaged. As we mentioned, Bangladesh number one resource and number one product and passion is politics. So that is the youth. The youth is in the process of we're experiencing the rebirth of a nation. Hopefully you will have elections soon, and hopefully some of this energy will transpire into future of the country, and hopefully the youth will engage, as we see now, engage in politics, engage in talking to people, engage in meeting and dealing with other countries, other parts of the world, and that will be the future of Bangladesh. I see Bangladesh has a bright and a very sparkling future, and it's because the youth will determine the future of Bangladesh and the region of South Asia.
Sir, thank you so much. When people like you talk about Bangladesh, potential future about Bangladesh, I personally find very much energetic and enthusiastic. I want to conclude today's show with my very, very favorite, John Charles Dalton. Sir, same questions to you. You have long experience regarding Bangladesh, its culture, its food, its entertainment, its political diversification. I want to get your comment at last. I have only 2 minutes, sir.
Well, I think it's wonderful that these two gentlemen speak so highly about Bangladesh. I feel I want to send out my condolences to the family of Osman Hadi. It was a terrible situation. I fear, having been in the situation in the Philippines when Benigno Aquino was assassinated, that that this kind of a death brings out some very, very negative attitudes. I think that the youth of the country have been knocking on the door. I think that it has not opened wide enough for them at the current time, and I think that accounts for some of the violence that occurred with the buildings that were burnt. I think they saw these two, whether it's true or not, they saw these two media organizations as having protected the former regime for a very long time and having printed propaganda without any kind of vetting of it. That's their perception, whether that's true or not. I mean, I think that that's what they saw, is that there was not enough balanced reporting in the past about the country, and that the Star and that Guatemala were basically mouthpieces for the old regime.
All right, sir, I'm extremely grateful to all of my very distinguished, respected panelists today. We have discussed war, disaster, conflict, diplomacy, so many issues. At the end of the show, I want to say happy birthday to Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, and of course, happy birthday to Hu Jintao, former top leader in China. Yes, sir.
I want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all the people that are watching, and I hope you enjoy the holidays. Whichever religion or whatever you're doing with your time, have a good time.
Your turn, sir, to say Christmas.
Thank you. Happy holidays to all of you out there.
All right, and special thanks goes to Norman, because his contribution is enormous to this show. We are very grateful to you, Norman. I want to say, all of my audience, as a Bangladeshi citizen, I will never compromise media propaganda by other countries undermining our democracy, our development, our potential. So there will be no compromise on national integrity, security and sovereignty, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you tomorrow.